Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 2024 horror film Imaginary. Now, this is one of those films that, in all honesty, I did not look forward to at all going in. I didn't like the trailers for this movie. I thought it looked lame. I thought it looked pretty terrible. I mean, a killer teddy bear? Are you kidding me? So I didn't have like the highest hopes for this one, and it definitely wasn't a film that I would say exceeded my expectations. I will say it was not as bad as I initially thought it was going to be, so there is that. But I still thought it was a pretty bad and fairly forgettable film. And I could see why it's not doing well in the box office right now, and why critics weren't really that happy with it either. It's directed by Jeff Wadlow, and this is a guy who, if you ask me, he's used up whatever wad of talent that he might have had, because the guy, he just has nothing left. I mean, if you look at his filmography, he directed Cry Wolf and Never Back Down and True Memoirs of an International Assassin, the Netflix original movie with Kevin James that I honestly had never heard of until I looked at his filmography. He also did Truth or Dare from 2018, which was one of the worst films from that year. He also did Fantasy Island in 2020, and he did some film called The Curse of Bridge Hollow with Marlon Wayans a couple years ago in 2022, and then Imaginary. I think that this is one of those directors that has reached their peak a long time ago, and should be retired to the pasture and have somebody else come in who is just as talented, if not more so, and someone who can actually bring something truly fresh to the realm of cinema, because Jeff Wadlow isn't it. The direction in this is just very run-of-the-mill, very average, very unimpressive. There's a couple moments where he will utilize the camera in an intriguing way. He does stuff with a spiral movement with the camera every now and then. Maybe he'll have the camera move in a unique direction or to try to emphasize the mood or the setting or the surreal nature of a scene. But for the most part, it's a movie that really the best compliment you can give the direction is that it's competent. It's competent. It's decent enough. It's not entirely terrible. It's not entirely awful, but it's also not anything that is really that incredible from a visual perspective. In fact, there's a lot of scenes in this where you can tell that certain sequences were shot on a set because of the way that they were lit. And there's other moments where I just think a better director who has a little bit more style could really make the film pop more visually. There's a lot of scenes in this, in the dream world in particular, that just look very gray and bland and dull looking. The film was written by Jeff Wadlow, Greg Erb, and Jason Orumland. Now, according to Jeff Wadlow, he cited Poltergeist as an influence for the movie, and this is a quote directly from Jeff Wadlow himself. "It perfectly strikes the balance between scares and this benign sense of wonder and excitement and emotion that you get when you have a family that you care about." I call bullshit on that. I don't think that is at all accurate. This is a film that, to me personally, it does a decent job when it comes to the script when it applies to the family dynamic, when it comes to that. Like, the script isn't that bad, but when it comes to the scares, when it comes to the horror, it's pretty horrible. The teddy bear is not intimidating. The teddy bear is not scary. You're telling me that I'm supposed to be shaking in my boots over Teddy Ruxpin? Get the fuck out of here. And when you see the teddy bear in like its monstrous form, it looks like one of those ugly dolls, or one of those other dolls that were somewhat popular in the past couple years, like the ones that were like multicolored and had like teeth. That's what it looks like. It looks like something like that. It's so overblown and so over the top in terms of its design that it isn't scary either. It's honestly more laughable than scary when you see it on screen. And the other attempts at horror are just abysmal. They're just painfully generic and predictable. Oh, some character looks under the bed, and they do the fake out scare, like with the clown in the Poltergeist film, like the original and the remake. And it just as good of a job with that scare in terms of a homage as the Poltergeist remake does. You have cheap and lazy music stings at times to accentuate or to set up a jump scare. You have a whole scene in the film that is just so unbelievably drawn out. It's insane. That involves this imaginary bear. You know it's imaginary, but the lead, Jessica, doesn't know that. So she spends a good chunk of time talking to what she thinks is this girl who is her daughter, Alice. Actually, her stepdaughter, anyway. So she thinks she's talking to her stepdaughter, Alice, but it's actually the imaginary bear or the entity that she's speaking to. And she's having this heart-to-heart with Alice, and the scene is just painfully drawn out and stretched to the point of exhaustion. And it's one of those sequences where if you know what you're looking for, you know the twist, and you know what's coming a mile away. So the scene is just incredibly hard to sit through because it's just so drawn out. You're like, yes, it's not her. It's the damn bear. She's outside, or she's in a different room. She's not there in the bedroom. And oh, what? Wait, what? That's exactly what happened. So I'm like, really? You're going to go with that? And so a good chunk of this movie, I would say a majority of the script, is just generic, forgettable padding and really tame, forgettable, and lame stuff that you've seen done a ton of different times in other films and TV shows in the horror genre, and done better. But I will give the script credit for how it establishes the family dynamic with Jessica and her stepdaughters, Alice and Taylor. And there are some interesting things involving Gloria, Jessica's neighbor, and her former babysitter, and how she gets incorporated into the film's plot at some point, and how she's well versed in terms of what this bear actually is. It's not who it says it is. It's actually something more sinister. And there definitely are some moments of the script too that are effective when it comes to Jessica's father. So Jessica has a father who is in a home because he's not all there mentally. And throughout the script, you get bits and pieces of why he is the way that he is. And then when you find out that he's dealing with all of these mental issues and a diminished mental capacity because he sacrificed himself to save his daughter when he realized that this entity was trying to take her away from him. It's honestly a pretty tragic and genuinely uh, um, I wouldn't say heartwarming, but it is one of those moments where it pulls at the heartstrings because you definitely do sympathize with Jessica and you feel for her father. So I think the film did a good job when it comes to those scenes. It's good when it comes to emotion in terms of tragedy or angst or anxiety. Like you definitely do understand what's going on with the older sister Taylor and why she's having such a strained relationship with Jessica. You get what's going on with Max, Jessica's husband, and his place in things. Although to be honest, at a certain point, he just leaves the movie entirely, which I'm like, okay, it makes for kind of a pointless sort of character. There is a therapist scene as well where the therapist comes to the house and interviews the girl Alice, the little girl who is seeing this bear and named Chauncey, and the typical just tired stuff happens with that scene where, oh, you think the bear is there, but it's not. It was never there, and it's not even on camera, and the girl is just speaking to thin air, and she just sounds like she's crazy. And for a film called Imaginary, like, it's not that imaginative when it comes to the script. A large chunk of it is just stuff that you've honestly seen done before in these kind of films. Even how they get into the imaginary world is just ripped straight out of Beetlejuice. You know, the whole thing where you take some chalk and you draw on the door and then you open the brick and then you can go into the other realm, where this time around it's paint. And that's it. That's the only difference. It's not chalk. This time around it's paint, but it's the same thing. Um and even the imaginary world is just something you've seen before out of like an MC Escher painting or Alice in Wonderland, you know, with the labyrinth and even the design of it. I know some critics have pointed out that it reminded them of the labyrinth in Hellraiser 2, and I definitely got those vibes as well. And you don't really get to the dream world or the imaginary world stuff until the movie's almost over. So it's one of those things where the movie is almost literally over at this point, and that's when you get to the imaginative aspects of the story and the script, and it's too little too late. And what you get, some stuff is kind of interesting in terms of how Jessica uses materials in one of the rooms in the imaginary world to escape. I didn't mind that. I thought that was kind of interesting how she was able to utilize the different things around the room to try to create a portal to get out of there. But other than that, a lot of just really generic and just been there, done that crap when it comes to the imaginative world and the landscape. There's some all right visuals in there, like there's some clouds that actually storm and have little bits of thunder and lightning and rain inside. I thought that was kind of an interesting visual. And the different doors, I feel could have led to something fun, but they didn't really do much with it. Honestly, the stuff with the different doors, like that was done better in Shazam, or something like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey than what you get here at Imaginary. The script also has a typical fake out sort of ending where, oh, you think they escaped, but they really didn't. and Jessica is trapped with the entity because that's what the entity wanted this entire time. And you get really cringe scenes of people acting like they're scary with teddy bear eyes, like teddy bear button eyes, and I'm supposed to be terrified and shitting my pants at teddy bear button eye people. I was laughing. And in all honesty, that was accomplished way more effectively and way creepier in Coraline. And then you find out, okay, that's not really what happened, because thankfully the lead Jessica is not trapped in this imaginary world with this evil entity for the rest of her life. They didn't go that route. I will give the writers credit for that. They could have had some bleak you're all fucked type of ending, and they didn't go there. Instead, the older daughter saves her, and they also get Alice, and they escape from the imaginary world. And you have an ending where it actually isn't sequel bait too, which I will also give it some credit for, where the family, they go to a hotel, they see the bear, but it's not really Chauncey, it's just an actual bear that some kid has at the hotel. And then they decide to go to a different hotel to stay for the night, similar to, you know, the ending of Poltergeist when the Freelings push the TV outside of the hotel door. It's that kind of thing. Like you really needed any more comparisons to Poltergeist. Like you already had too much as it is, which just made the script even more inferior and even more irritating at times. There's not really anything in terms of lines of dialogue that are particularly memorable or fun. The banter between characters is very stock and standard and nothing special. I liked the fact that Jessica was a illustrator for children's books. I thought that was kind of a fun idea. I think the opening of the film showed some promise with this nightmare scene, but then it didn't really reach the same heights after that, because then a lot of it's just focusing on Chauncey the teddy bear, and that's just a dumb concept to me, and it's just a dead end from the beginning. It also doesn't help that it's PG-13 and it's supposed to be a gateway horror film for younger audiences, so there's next to no body count. I think there's only one person that gets killed throughout the entire script. It's the therapist lady. And there's not really a lot of teeth with this because it's PG-13. They try to do as much as they possibly can get away with some shots of blood, but that's all they can really accomplish. So what you get is just a very tame and lame horror movie. And it's a film that just has all these different elements of other films dealing with imaginary worlds that are just so much better than what you get here. The best part of the script is just the family. It does a good job getting you to understand why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, why there's moments with these characters where they are being emotional or dramatic. You get why there is some sort of connection with Chauncey and Jessica, and why Chauncey is picking Alice as a target. And there's a few moments involving the neighbor character where you get some interesting context in terms of this entity that's taking on the appearance of this innocent teddy bear. But other than that, it's a slog. It really is. The script is a total slog, and it's because it's just mostly padding and not really a lot of genuine surprises or shocks or moments of real or raw horror. And saying that it's PG-13 in a gateway horror film is not an excuse to me. The Monster Squad is PG-13. That's significantly better. Lights Out, that was PG-13. I thought that was honestly pretty good for what it was. Darkness Falls is another PG-13 horror film. Like, there are better instances out there where you have a PG-13 horror film that works within the limitations of the rating. And I wish that the screenwriters for this film, all three of them, took a page from some of those movies and applied it to this film. Because honestly, it's a waste of a pretty decent cast. Like, DeWanda Wise, I thought was wonderful. I thought she did a great job as Jessica. I liked her performance. I thought she was very personable. She was likable. She had her own amount of charisma. I bought her as the lead. I definitely did sympathize with her when it comes to what happened to her when she was a kid and what's going on with her and her stepdaughters. It was a genuinely great performance. I really thought it was something that was a real bright spot in what it was honestly a really dull movie. Pyper Braun, I also thought did a good job, a lot better than what she was given when it comes to scenes featuring her in the trailers. Like, I thought from the trailers alone, it was going to be a really rough performance to watch, but that wasn't the case. I thought Pyper Braun did a good job as Alice. Tom Payne, he was barely in the movie, but he wasn't really in the film enough to really cause me any pain, so I guess he gets a passing grade. Betty Buckley as Gloria, she was good until she started hamming it up near the end. I don't know what the hell that was about. Like, that was really cringe. But other than that, pretty decent performance. You could tell that she was having some fun with the role too, which I did appreciate. Taegen Burns as Taylor, I thought she was terrific. I liked her character. I liked her performance. I thought the scenes with her and Jessica, once she got over herself and learned to actually connect and in her own way love her stepmother, I thought it was actually a good duo. I thought the two worked really well together. It's one of the reasons why the finale in the imaginary world, even though it's disappointing because of how honestly kind of unimaginative it is, I still kind of was entertained by it because of the dynamic between Taegen and DeWanda. Matthew Sato was Taylor's friend and neighbor. The guy looks like the lost Sprouse twin. He was fine for what he was asked to do, be an obnoxious neighbor who was trying to get into Taylor's pants. Veronica Falcón as the therapist, Dr. Alana Soto. She was also good in her few scenes, made the most out of what she had to work with, which wasn't a lot. Apparently there was an actor who played Chauncey, Dane DeLegro. Alright. I didn't know there was an actual actor playing the bear. I wonder if the bear was CGI then. Was the bear entirely CGI and this was like a CGI actor? Like somebody, like a person who's working behind a green screen or something? I don't know. But I mean, for, what he was asked to do in terms of playing a teddy bear, killer teddy bear, I guess he did all right. Maybe they're talking about the actor in the big bear suit. That has to be it. It can't be the teddy bear. I know there's little people out there, little people actors, but I don't think that they're that small. And makeup effects wise, visual effects wise, there are some moments where the visual effects is actually pretty good for a lower budgeted film. Some of the scenes in the imaginary world, for instance. But there's other moments where you can really tell the low budget. And the design of the bear, like I said, the teddy bear is so cute that there's nothing intimidating or scary or creepy about it at all. I had a gun teddy bear when I was a kid. I called him Gunny. And the bear looked kind of similar to that. I was never scared of Gunny. Why would I ever be scared of Gunny? I'm not gonna be scared of my teddy. Like, come on now. What is this? And then when you get to the scene with the teddy bear being all ferocious, like, it looked silly too. Like, it honestly reminded me. I'm trying to remember like what precisely it reminded me of. It kind of reminded me of something I saw in like a cartoon, like not something that I remember seeing in a legit horror film. They tried to make it fearsome by having it be taller and burlier and have all this teeth, but it just came across like it was overcompensating. It's a fucking teddy bear. Like, I don't care how many teeth you give the teddy bear. I don't care if you give it steroids. It's still a damn teddy bear. And technique-wise, the cinematography by James McMillan and the editing by Sean Albertson, it was adequate for the kind of film that it is. I wish that it had better pacing. It's like 104 minutes, but it honestly did drag more than once throughout the runtime. Because even though I don't mind these characters, there's not a lot that happens. Like I said, it's not a body count movie, so you don't really get that. And when it comes to the scenes with the bear, they just weren't that creepy. They weren't that scary. Like the bear with the blanket over it, slowly walking towards this one teenager, did nothing for me. The scavenger hunt that Alice was playing, other than the scene where she almost hurt herself with a nail, a lot of that was just, oh, she's collecting bugs and something that makes somebody happy and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, all right. I was just vaguely interested in any of that. So there's not a lot of moments in the movie throughout that maintain your interest and maintain the entertainment factor, because there's just so many scenes that are just so bland, so dull, so genuinely boring. And it's honestly more of a family drama than it is anything else, similar to Night Swim, which Blumhouse also released this year. So the family drama is decently effective, but all the other horror elements just really don't click in the same way because of the PG-13 and because of the concept. And at least there was something here with the imaginary world and the imaginary friend kind of thing, but they just don't really do the best job with it. They don't really get the most out of the concept. So it's just a disappointing film at the end of the day. Like, even with all of its limitations, the PG-13 rating, the lower budget, it should have been a lot better. It easily could have been better. But it just didn't live up to its full capacity. And ironically enough, it wasn't as imaginative as it could have been. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Imaginary, and until next time, I'll see you later. See ya.